In an American school, there was a student named Mike. Mike was negligent and slack in his studies. The first semester passed, and his result came out only 60%. He grumbled, got angry, and decided to change himself. He set aside 6 hours for studying every day, from 6 p.m. until midnight. The second semester passed. Can you guess what his average was? I bet most of you didn't guess. He achieved only 50%. How? Why? I'll explain it to you as simply as possible. So let's start first, the Pomodoro technique. I'll explain it to you using the following graph. The vertical axis represents the level of concentration, and the horizontal line represents the time spent studying. When Mike sat at his desk and started studying, determined to study for a full 6 hours, the first half hour passed, and his concentration started to decline. And that's true for you, me, and most of us. Studies have shown that the average concentration time for adults is half an hour. Mike continued studying and looking at the books, but his mind wandered to thoughts of outings, family, and what happened yesterday. And he was determined to continue until midnight, and there he was. In his opinion, he had studied what he needed to and accomplished it. But it turned out to be the opposite. Let's go back to our chart. What if Mike took a short break of 5 minutes after half an hour, then returned with high and fresh concentration? That's the core of the Pomodoro technique discovered by Francesco Cirillo. So this is how we maintain our concentration. Every half hour we take a 5-minute break, have a cup of coffee, call a friend, or sit with family. I hope the idea has become clear to you. Let's move on to our second technique, spaced repetition. Mike studied his lesson on Sunday. How long will he remember it? You and I know the problem of forgetting. Is there a solution? We'll explain it through a more beautiful chart than the previous one, the forgetting curve developed by Hermann Ebbinghaus. Here, the vertical axis represents the percentage of our memory retention, and the horizontal line represents time. We said that Mike studied his lesson on Sunday. According to the chart, after 6 days, Mike will remember only about 20% of his lesson. Imagine that. So what can we do? If we review what we studied after a day, we see that our memory retention has increased. And if we review it after 3 days, the curve won't go down again. The third review will keep the information with you for months, and that's the essence of the technique. And I tell you, I have actually tried it, and I remember a complete research paper from 2 years ago. Imagine. Very nice. We reached the last technique in our video. Are you ready? Concepts and information. We said the last thing is to review what we studied after a day, 3 days, and 5. But, do we review everything we studied? I don't think we will have enough time. Here comes our technique, and I'll explain it with an example. You have a clear law, and you have a long deduction for this law. The long, tedious deduction is what we call the concept. That is, what you need to understand. As for the law, it is the information that you need to memorize and will be asked about in the exam. Is this clear? Okay, let's take another example. The mechanism of a lung disease is the concept, and we only need to understand it. As for the symptoms of this disease, they are the information, and they are what you will be asked about in the exam. All right, what do I do now? I'll answer you. Take these concise and clear pieces of information and write them down in your notebooks. These are what you need to review periodically, as we mentioned earlier. Here, I recommend using an app called Anki. Just input the idea into it, and it will remind you of it automatically at regular intervals. I hope the video has helped you a little. Let me know if you like this type of videos. Gadir was with you. I am a doctor, and I provide content that may help you a little. Have a good day.